I hit record. Now we're live, Josh.
Now we're live.
All the things we
So
said.
do we do our wave so we know we're there?
Everybody enjoy this today with us. We're way more excited right now than we were 15 minutes ago when we tried our best to have an in-depth conversation.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Now we're on to episode 2 with our special guest.
It's episode 2 of the second generation of our space here. I'm going to let you know right now, this is the Talking Energy Show, thanks to Oilfield Tailgate.
I like to refer to it as the Oilfield Tailgate.
Yeah, I want everybody to refer to whatever we do. Everybody has an opinion, and I appreciate that about you.
And tell everybody where we're at.
We are at Faro Energy Services, the office, OKC. It's in downtown Oklahoma City. Again, this is a speakeasy, a salon, a idea factory, a creative space. We want all oil and gas people to come down here and network and get to know each other, collaborate, bring new ideas to the table.
Yeah, we've had happy hours, coffees.
You name it, whatever.
We've done all kinds of
We can set a food truck outside, and we should all have, aspire to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner here together.
We should do lunch here.
And make more positive impact on our industry.
We can breathe thunder up here.
Or each other, and make sure we talk to each other about what we're doing. But most importantly, we have a guest in the studio, and Josh was trying to tell me everything about you, and I was like, please stop. I want him to tell me the story.
I was excited he was coming in.
I am too, but it's so much fun for me to meet new people and have them tell me everything about them. So thank you for coming in. Please introduce yourself to the world. We have 45 million viewers.
45 million.
Statistically, that's possible.
It could happen today.
Yeah.
We're hoping to have 4 viewers.
What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think that I've been brought into something that my primary inquiry here is, how long do I have to keep a straight face?
No time at all.
No time at all. When you walked in, and I saw that you weren't going to keep a straight face.
that informs the version I'm going to tell you about, which one I'm going to tell you about who I am. The background here is just energy is near and dear. All of us that came through the oil field, there's a brotherhood there, and when somebody calls me and says, "Hey, we want you on a podcast in 5 minutes," that's all I need to know is where you're coming from. So
it took you 20. You're in Edmond.
Yeah, I didn't have my coffee this morning.
You didn't. You changed your shirt, didn't you? I love fossil fuels. You knew what you're getting into.
Before we get any further, so this is Galyn Black, good friend of mine, longtime oil and gas engineer, hydraulic engineer, petroleum engineer, now electrical engineer, and Galyn, we're so glad you made the trip down here. Spur of the moment, last minute. He literally had a 10-minute warning before he got in his car and drove down here. So we thank you for coming.
Yeah, that's a better intro than I could have done myself.
There you go.
Where'd you grow up?
The High Plains, affectionately, where my other dirt road hustler friends come from, and found my way down to DFW. I got tangled up with Aubrey down there in the Barnett Basin,
right
at the DFW airport lease, and fell in love with oil and gas, of course, at that point, and chased the rigs up here, and here I've been ever since.
Did you grow up in a area where you were familiar with oil and gas?
I did not. Playa Lakes, some cotton. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
So you weren't really it wasn't even on your radar when you were young and impressionable and going to school.
It wasn't, but when you go from a highly, I'm going to call it friendly, I always say bureaucratic environment like DFW Airport, even though there's a lot of profile there and a lot of entertaining things you can do with your life, compared to oil and gas, that's a whole new step change getting into this industry.
When you went to college, what kind of spurred your because you went as an engineer, right? Why'd you do that? You're like, oh, I love science and math, I like to solve problems, and obviously you weren't thinking like, I'm going to work in a cubicle my whole life and make somebody else a bunch of money. You're entrepreneurial.
Yeah. Well, and if you weren't, when you get into oil and gas, you get that way. But no, I remember a professor asked, why are y'all all here? We're in engineering classes, and it was one of those introductory ones. And I say introduced probably a year or two, and most people are like, well, I'm here to learn how to make money, and obviously that falls well short of the kind of opportunities and joy and camaraderie that you get in oil and field. So yeah, a lot to learn there, but obviously ultimately the higher purposes and things, and those were really what drive you, and you can find that here for sure.
Any internships that you found something that really was impactful?
Nothing as impactful as being at DFW Airport, meeting some quality mentors, but above and beyond all that, when Aubrey McClendon came to town and said we're going to put 5 rigs continuous on one lease, and they looked at me and said, "Hey, Galyn, you want to be the guy that runs this?" And I said, "Well, sure. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what an oil rig is."
The Barnett show, man, it was fun.
Hey, it's coming back.
I'm absolutely, everything's going to come back.
So Galyn mentioned when Aubrey gave him the opportunity. That's how I met Galyn. Was your second adventure with Aubrey over at American Energy Partners, which was also a ton of fun. Like, what a group that was to work with. I was actually visiting with Adam Doty the other day, and he said, "Man, it would be fun to go back and redo all that." We had a hell of a team put together over there. It was a lot of fun.
The oil field brought out the best in everybody, and it still does.
Yeah. But that was a dynamic team. I mean, just anybody that's worked for Aubrey knows, like, it's go, but it's so fun. You feel invested in the project that you're working in, and so, like, man, you don't hear people gripe about work or not enjoying it. It's every day is pretty fun. But yeah, it's crazy.
I'm in my entire existence, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say a bad word about that guy. That's impressive. I mean, that's absolutely.
He assembled some really good teams.
Yeah. My brother-in-law, Kevin DeLay, when Aubrey left AEP, grabbed Kevin and went over there and did a lot of neat things. And just under his tutelage, flying in the jet with Aubrey all the time and going to meet, the investors and starting up, new portions of what turned into Permian Basin resources and
White Star,
all of that. Kevin was able to graduate and go run operations for Nadel Gussman. And then, he came to the realization, well, man, I have all these tools. I'm going to go out and get funded by private equity myself, and I'm going to start up Quantum Energy, because he is such a power and force and educator. And man, my brother-in-law Kevin loves natural gas. He's very long and very bullish on it, and he knows the future of it like you do. That's our molecule. That's Earth right now needs natural gas. That's our favorite molecule. Will we all have modular nuclear reactors in the future? Probably, but they're not here yet, and I need energy right now. We have natural gas.
You can imagine if data centers had been popular back when Aubrey was making the case for his bridge fuel. Wow.
Yeah, he was a little ahead of his time there, wasn't he?
He often was.
He was a couple decades ahead of his time. It breaks my heart because he was right.
So you led me straight into my next question. So one of the most interesting things about what you're doing now is it's tied directly with these data centers. So, I want to jump straight into that. I think it is.
I want to make a huge commercial for you and what you're doing.
Exactly. So, I mean, I am just infatuated with it. I have several friends that have worked constructing them. I mean, they're building a power plant, natural gas power plant north of my house to power the new Google plant going in Stillwater. I mean, everything about it, it needs massive amounts of energy, which that's what we do. Plus, it's the technology of the future. And so I'm just intrigued by like everything about it.
And how do we get more of them here to Oklahoma?
Yeah, that's a great question. I hadn't really thought about it, but prioritization of energy resources, Oklahoma, of course.
We have a lot of natural gas.
With the interconnected, communications these days, you could really do it at an edge basis, one container at a time, and have so much compute that even investors at that level would be stretched, even at the one at a time. But it's a very expensive endeavor, but cheap energy is the key. And why Oklahoma?
Do you like? We talk a lot, and both paths moving forward, two things can be true at the same time, but I love the ideas of, we have so many wells out there right now with trap gas. and we can, we're speaking the next generation, the generators we have available to us right now can take any kind of gas, the worst, gas, whatever, good gas, whatever you want to call it, and turn that into power right on location. So we could have microgrids of data centers as well. I mean, they don't have to be centralized, these big giant facilities. It could definitely be backup upon backup of run this generator off of this natural gas well and power, maybe a battery center out there. Hey, let's keep this battery center juiced up, whatever the battery technology might be right now. I know everybody's, on the lithium ion stuff, but it doesn't have to be. But a BESS system, and then you feed very clean amperage power to your data center.
Yeah, you kind of using the UPS idea.
Yeah.
There's probably some crossover there into a typical battery management system, a BMS, where you could also leverage some BESS value out of those and bridge some of the gaps, as well as introducing, frankly, a lot of renewable and sustainable energy from that.
Absolutely, it's all energy is fine out there. Let's have backup upon backup. Yes, we have the natural gas well. Say there's inclement weather, we've got the batteries. But say the wind's blowing really well that day. Sure, we're going to use some wind power to keep the batteries charged. Hey, we're going to use some solar. So all energy is acceptable to keep that data center running.
In the development arena, that's called an energy park, and so there's some orchestration challenges doing what you're talking about theoretically, but they're very surmountable. And Bentaus Energy, which is a company I partner with, is doing that now.
Bentaus Energy.
Yeah, that's right. Bentaus. They actually have that capability and are further developing it. But there's a lot of people trying to move into that orchestration space because the technology is now, and we realize, hey, if we can move data around as quickly or more quickly than we can move electrons, then we can actually orchestrate those different types of electrons from all the types and have a lot of value there.
Well, as remote as some of these locations are, the coolest tech out there, we have it available to not just move the molecules from the ground to power. We can move the data via Skylink. We don't have to, we don't even have to have lines run to anywhere. We don't have, that's what's fascinating to me. Like, we don't need power lines. We don't need natural gas pipelines if we don't, if we're having trouble, with any regulations, boom, we've already got the pad. And that's why I'm a huge fan of Save the Wells. So right now in America, there's roughly 8 million well borers that they're looking to, get rid of and plug and abandon. However, and I'm not saying it's not possible to, some of them are just going to have to be, plugged and abandoned. But if we haven't even looked at them with a camera, and so we have the dark vision cameras now, there's so many stuff up there, but every well, if it's possible, if they're a candidate to be worked over, we could turn it into a gas well for a data center. Yeah,
and aggregations of those in cooperation with all the other types of energy. It's very doable at this point. And even if it's in Starlink and you need something with extremely low latency, like the AI-based data centers. Yep. People don't realize how robust our fiber networks are at this point in time.
They're starting to. My neighborhood in Edmond finally got a fiber.
We're on fiber here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is fun.
And now I've had this. I've had the same kid, it's like a newspaper, kitty. Like every day, I think he knocks on the door, like, "Hey, I'm from AT&T. Would you like me to connect to you yet?" And I'm like, I'm checking it out first, making sure all my neighbors are happy, because I see all these lines in their yard that, they connected to your house, but they still haven't come out and buried. No one can mow their lawn.
I'll tell you what, so at Stillwater in Payne County, Central Electric is one of our main power providers there. OG&E does too, but CREC went in and they put in high-speed internet via fiber, but they ran them right below all of their power lines. And so we have rural fiber internet out in the country. If you have power from Central Electric out of Stillwater, you have fiber internet at your house.
Nice, smart.
And so it was about a 3-year project that they did, and they offered it, to everyone. I don't know anyone that has power from CREC that does not have high-speed internet now. We run everything off of it, but it's amazing. It changed living like rural out in Oklahoma.
I don't think people understand what fiber is. It's unlimited speed.
Unlimited speed.
Yeah.
We're running at 990 megabytes per second, which is
you're not curtailed by the network now for the speed of it. It's really the hardware end-to-end points at this point.
Yeah, and I think like we were talking a while ago about, or Galyn was mentioning the amount of power needed. I was reading an article the other day, and I could look it up, but I think they said by 2028, which is 3 years from now, that AI and data centers will be using 12 to 15% of the power that's on the grid now. And so with everything else coming online, I mean, the need for energy in this country is bigger than it's ever been. I mean, it is truly an exciting time to be in the energy sector right now, even though we've got suppressed pricing and, you go office to office like we do every day. Not everybody's really bullish on oil or natural gas, but I mean, I don't see how you can't be staring down the barrel of data centers using 12% of the power in a country that's already having rolling blackouts as we're speaking.
Well, it's not just that.
You
just got electrification of everything these days, and so many industrial processes. People don't realize that. So Texas, what they released their forecast, their 5-year forecast, they went from 90 gigawatts up to 140 some odd. That's just a tremendous. I mean, Texas is one of the biggest grids there is, and ERCOT managing that. And so what people don't realize is, data centers are a significant contributor to that, but they're actually not the biggest. There's just a lot of electrification coming down the pipe. And so you want to look at EV cars, you're going to look at, more electric-based pumps, you're going to look at all kinds of attempts to reduce the carbon footprint in a lot of people's way of thinking of it. And honestly, it is what it is.
It is what it is. We're just going to like, hey, whatever their religion is on the environment, we're in this to just better human lives.
And honestly, no matter how you electrify something, it's kind of like, power doesn't come out of that hole in your wall.
It's a footprint. Weird.
You actually have to generate some real energy somewhere.
Yeah, and putting a straw in the ground is pretty efficient these days compared to all the. I mean, we cured for the most part. This generation that beats up on us a little bit because of the stories they've been fed, but acid rain. You ever hear about acid rain anymore? Stuff like that. Like, we don't burn coal like we used to. Oh,
well, Al Gore said we were going to be dead by now. We were going to burn up.
Well,
we're still here.
I don't want to beat up on Al Gore.
And he invented the internet. There's that.
Let's just call him uneducated and ill-informed at the time. I think maybe his heart was in the right place. Right.
You're giving the guy a lot of credit.
I'm just leaving some room for kindness.
We're trying to get to 45 million here, Josh.
Yeah.
We're trying. Yeah. I think he was more worried about money than the kindness of his heart, but
we don't know. Allegedly.
I mean, he created a whole industry around climate change. First it was global warming, and then when they realized that we really weren't getting warmer, they just said, okay, well, it's changing.
Well, I know that I was in 112 degrees.
And we bought it. We were like, okay, you're right.
112 in Orla, Texas yesterday, and I got into my gasoline-powered Chevy truck, and it cooled me off, and I had a swell drive down there and back, listening to Ray Trevino on Sirius XM Patriot Radio.
That was a good choice.
It was a good choice. I got fortunate. I just turned it on, and Ray Trevino was on there, and I was like, Ray, one of our energy heroes that speaks the truth. And then, of course, he was talking about our friend Chris Wright, who's up in Washington now, leading the charge on that. We've got Kyle Hosfite up there. I mean, people are paying attention to really smart energy leaders, finally. We need to get Trisha Curtis up there to Washington, too, and more.
I don't disagree.
So we are simpletons when it comes to AI. We've just scratched the surface about talking to it, but so explain to everybody like why they're building these data centers and why they're necessary.
Well, back when Al Gore invented the internet, somewhere around that time frame, it was kind of the age of big data. And the power of that and the ability to sort it and filter it and do computations on it, even if they're not complex, it's just a lot of data. And so the chips, coming out of NVIDIA, everybody hears about NVIDIA. And
now the chips are getting pretty cool.
Yeah, but they've always burned hotter and hotter to accomplish what they're doing. So there's a tremendous amount of cooling in addition to just the amount of energy they take themselves.
There's electricity running through tiny copper wires. They get hot.
To say it shortly, if we want to do what we're doing, if we want to have robots that make our meals, if we want to have cars that get us from A to B without us having to pay attention, if we want to do what we want to do, and we do, and that's what it's all about, it's energy. It's about reliable. It's about, in my opinion, the most sustainable, greenest of energies, which very much includes natural gas. And you're looking at all the copper wiring that it takes to electrify everything. Well, that's coming from mines being dug in Argentina and China, and those are strip mines. This is one of those things in which you think someday we'll even get away from that. That's great, and that's where we're going. But in the meantime, we got to get there, right? They're stepping stones. And so, how do you do that the most efficient way? Well, in my opinion, it's not green till it's green. And what I mean by that is, how much does it cost to produce something is a great metric for how sustainable and how many resources you're gobbling up to get it. So if it costs you twice as much to do something, guess what? You destroy twice as many resources to get it. And those resources might be your own time, but whatever, that's important. That's the most valuable resource you have. It might be granite rocks or coal seams somewhere you're digging. Whatever those resources are, if it costs twice as much to generate that electricity at the end of the day with all your levelized costs, you destroy twice as many earth resources to get it. And so how do you get that? How do you move along the way? What are those stepping stones? Natural gas has got an incredible advantage, and I consider it extremely green. And maybe it's not the end game. I know it's not the end game. We're going to have all the other forms that are eventually going to take over. But right now, if you want AI to move and develop into the age of big data and take advantage of that, you need the energy now, and that's where we're at, and that's what people want, and rightly so.
Well, we're sitting on. There you go. We're sitting on a whole lot of it in Oklahoma. I don't even remember the numbers anymore. But as our geologists and our petrophysicists, can all show you, we haven't
scratched the surface.
We are set up really well. I mean, no one's even really gone after like the deep gas over here in the shelf, stuff like that. I mean, we can overnight go out and run over to western Oklahoma in the Panhandle and go get deep gas. It's great. Well,
and the naysayers of, I would say, the people on the side of what we would call green energy, right? It's not there yet. Like it's just a word. It's not even really been invented yet. And so the only clear path to get to where we want to go to even have a chance to have green energy in the future.
It's not green. No, I hate calling it green.
Whatever you want to call it, is it has to go through, like you said, it has to go through natural gas. It's our best avenue moving forward. And everything, any industry, everything has consequences, right? And so I don't care what you do. I mean, well, I know for a fact Galyn did extensive research on all of the wind farms here in Oklahoma. Whenever we were having seismic activity and doing these things, I mean, there was a consequence to injecting lots of water into the ground, and Galyn can touch on it maybe a little bit if he wants to, but there's even consequences in putting thousands of windmills in Oklahoma and things that it does to the weather patterns and everything else. And so, like, no matter what you do, there's consequences to it. It's just a matter of what kind of publicity it gets at a national level.
It's got great publicity. For wind, they have at least learned statistics, and if you throw enough numbers at the right places on the charts, you can convince people like, oh, this is good. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't take everything into account to get that windmill out there. And then the backside of that, you just focused on this little box and you said, oh, this is good. Oh, come on, man.
And they still affect the environment, no matter how you want to look at it. They still do.
And I'm not, and again, natural gas has some, caveats that we work out really well.
They all do.
Everybody does. But it's energy addition. I'm fine with always calling it energy addition, and you can call it solar and wind. But man, the marketing guy who said someday, let's call it green energy. Genius. I really want us to move to fossil fuels is now called earth energy. What do you say?
I like that.
I think the green stands for money because
they printed money.
That's just it.
I was the first person ever deposed in the state of Oklahoma on seismicity. And so there's some things there I'm willing to talk about to your segue, Josh. Some I'm not, just because I have too many emotional scars from that discussion. But it was one comical anecdote. I can't help it. But back when we were really deep in, causation is not necessarily reflected by correlation. And we stumbled on really just a 1-for-1 between windmills and earthquakes as they increased over time. The megawatts from windmills as they went up just were so tight on the correlation. Going up with
we need that chart just for at least a poster in here.
It's truly comical, yeah.
And I have a very dear friend, Taylor Burnett, that I just always supportive of him because he really does care about education, and the opportunities are there for young people to go out and do wind farms. And so he runs the High Plains Technology Center up in Woodward, and he's very pro wind power. And regardless of our back and forth spitballing stuff, like I love him to pieces, and he and I can agree to disagree on some points, but I'm not he opened my eyes to like, okay, we'll have an open heart at least and give it the energy addition thumbs up. Like, okay, it's one additional energy source that's available, great, why not put it out there? All energy. We need so much energy right now, so bring it on.
For me, it always comes down to what's the definition of love, and you can take my labor by force. I don't call that love, but if you let me make it on my own, I'll give you all I can.
And what I'll make will be better and more efficient. I'll use the molecule we should be using because I'm smart. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
speaking of which, I'm going to segue because I'm going to have to let him go, in a few minutes. We don't want to kill everybody's ears. The reason I needed you in here today, was Josh elevated you up, for me to go, I want to talk to him about all the knowledge he has about energy. And he goes, oh, by the way, here's another interesting fact. The way he helped his wife with your children, and then also a goat. You got to tell the story. There are 2 stories, if you can share these.
You got to tell the story about the goat. That's the best one in the storm. That's one of the best stories ever, and everyone listening needs to hear this. I mean,
because I was such a fan before he gave me a little snippet, and then I was like, oh, this is guys my people.
So I didn't realize I was going to be set up on this. So
I didn't mean to.
Pre-warned you a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, you knew you're like the excitement in our voices had to give it a touch.
Now I see the real reason I was brought down here. Oh my goodness gracious. So the oil and gas industry blessed me to have a property that we had enough room to do some natural things. We were hobby, organic, sustainable farmers. And we had our own cows, goats, chickens. We knew every molecule went into everything. It was trying to create our own little organic utopia. I say we loosely. My wife, she was the health Nazi, but
really,
yeah. So
she's right. Sorry,
she is, and I was super glad to support her in that. But for the kids, it was also a huge blessing to have all the animals. The responsibilities goes with the animals and taking care of them. We had one son that was just an animal guy, and he wanted goats, and we were trying to have one of our first, on our farm, one of our first new goats. And of course, in Oklahoma, if you're trying to do something special in the spring, you got to factor in tornadoes. So we we had one of those really fortunate coincidences of tornado and goat birth at the same moment, and the goat was struggling, and we ended up having to do a C-section, which I second as a midwife. People don't know that, but or maybe better said, just a doula. But great evening, not success on all fronts, but I will say at least that the tornado, though it got within a mile. In our part of the world, you look at your phone, you see how big it is, the EF rating, you see the trajectory where it's going. You're like, yeah, it's going to miss me by at least 500 yards, no problem.
let's get this goat C-section underway. We have better things to do than worry about the tornado.
And I'm looking at that goat like it's basically a turducken. I get 2 goat tacos out of this.
Yeah. So the next day, like we knew roughly where Galyn lived. We knew the tornado had to get within a mile of his house. And so we're asking him, hey, man, is everything okay? He's like, oh, yeah, man. And I was like, had to give a go to C-section in the middle of the tornado. And we're just like, wow.
And what? Repeat this and tell me the story. Yeah.
Well, that's the short version, but I don't think y'all want to hear any more about that.
I don't know. I mean, the kids all now know how to do it, right? Have you taught all of them all the stuff you know? Or are they willing to, do they know their dad's a legend?
No, they don't.
They got to come in here. I hope they see this.
So Galyn loosely, he alluded to the fact that he's a midwife also.
Yeah.
But, so he is the only guy that I know, and I know thousands of people. He one day at work, is a true story, correct me if I'm wrong, he ran home on his lunch break, delivered one of his children, and then came back to work. It's a true story. I don't know anyone else that did that ever in my whole life. And to this day, hey, you're the only guy I know that's ever done that. It's impressed me.
Your wife trusts you way more than my wife would trust me.
It's an amazing story. It's still something that, people talk about. You're like a legend. I mean, that's incredible. Most people, maybe go to the gym on their lunch break or whatever.
I want to be your
best friend. Galyn Black.
I just want to go live under his tutelage. Make sure that I'm not missing anything in life.
I'm gonna try to back off my degree of involvement in some of these stories just a tad, but
I'm just giving it out there. If you also became ordained online, which you should, if you wanted to start a cult, or I'm sorry, a new religion.
Thank you.
I mean, thank you God for bringing this guy in here, but I think we could get some donations. And start up at the Church of Galyn, and you go down and hang out at your house and learn
This is where Matt gets really weird on stuff.
This is usually you.
I mean, yeah, I have before.
Yeah, I'm just saying
We've opened the brain of Matt Hill.
My new friend Galyn and I need to hang out more.
All it takes is one goat story, and your brain just goes on autopilot.
Never.
The sky's the limit.
For him, this is like an everyday occurrence. I just do these things that get thrown at me, and I'm like, I grew up farming, ranching, oil and gas out in the middle of sticks in northwest Oklahoma. I had some crazy stories that would happen, but that's spectacular.
Yeah, I guess anybody can try to fly close to the sun, but you might get your feathers singed a few times along the way.
That's a good way to put it.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Yeah, that is a fact. That is a fact.
Galyn doesn't not sound like Batman.
I appreciate the affection. I do draw the line at lingering hugs, though.
Okay, well, I mean,
yeah, no, I think the lingering hug idea was. I mean, it would weird me out.
It's not my fault that he smells.
It's like the two-handed handshake, when you shake someone's hand and then they grab the other side of your hand and sort of hold your hand.
Galyn, you smell different when you're awake.
It's just too much.
What's a good prank you pulled on one of your friends in oil and gas? Give me one. Anything? I know Josh.
I got a good one.
Yeah, give me one.
A prank?
I wanted to hear Galyn's first.
Okay.
No, I want to hear yours first, Josh.
It's kind of stupid, but
testing your temperature on
one of my favorite pranks. It's not even like gross or anything, but you take some pipe dope, right, and you put it and you grease up someone's windshield wipers with it.
Ooh, that's mean.
And then you take like a little ketchup or mustard packet and you just squirt it right on their window, because the first thing they want to do is hit their automatic washer fluid and wipe it off, and it just blacks the windows out, and then you just take off, right? Take off back to the yard, and it's their problem to deal with at that point.
And it's not permanently harmful. There's no maiming.
No.
I'm
not going to admit some of the pranks I've pulled, but I mean, that's a good one.
Well, and the people are still looking.
Ryan Bell taught me that trick.
They're still looking for the perpetrator of some of the pranks. You don't want to give it away that you might be the guy. What about you, buddy?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to skip over the oil fields, go back to high school here, putting glue in my honors English teacher's hand lotion.
Oh,
that's a pretty good one.
That is rough. What kind of glue, though?
Oh, Elmer's, of course.
Oh, okay,
it's the only glue there is.
I don't know. Some people are like really nefarious. Some people like super glue or something like that.
Always Elmer's glue. Elmer's glue is a magical thing.
Yeah,
you can eat it if you get hungry.
And it's. Oh, yep, that's right. That's never mind. I was gonna Matt. Yeah, yep, that's right.
So now you got to go. Best prank, Matt.
I actually am
started this.
I'm a good Christian, Lord, and if you watch these as they float to heaven, I've never done anything wrong in my life.
It's not true.
I don't.
We're going to get somebody on the show that's going to tell a prank.
I've never pulled a prank on anyone.
Look at him smiling.
I'm just going to suggest to those uninitiated to the prankster world that the viscosity and density of Elmer's is real similar to hand lotion.
There you go.
Duly noted. Well,
Duly noted.
I can't thank you enough for coming down here at short notice, and I hope that you would consider, if you ever have any free days, that you join Josh and I as another because our grand scheme goal of things is he and I know a lot of fascinating people, but those fascinating people always know more fascinating people. And so if you have something you want to promote at all, or something that's just on your mind that like, man, I wish I could talk to more people about it right away, or you find somebody you just want to bring into here, you also would be very wanted and welcome here as another co-host.
Y'all been super gracious, and I appreciate the blessing today.
Man, we appreciate you coming down. This was a lot of fun.
What's the company's name again so we can promote them?
Bentaus Energy.
Bentaus Energy. Invest now. Can we invest now? Is that possible?
For certain special people, yes.
Yeah. Okay. There's some opportunities out there to grow your position in some data centers that they are going to put into Oklahoma and use our natural gas right here in America.
Oklahoma natural gas powering the future of America.
In the world. We, according to Richard Spears, give energy to poor people.
I'm all about it.
Human flourishing, Alex Epstein. Talking energy points. We have so many people to mention. And again, thank you, Pharaoh Energy Services and Assault Chemicals for the space for the Talking Energy show for Oilfield Tailgate.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys.
Take care. God bless y'all.